That sounds like a
Okay,
plan.
great.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care, all right?
Thank you for having us.
All right, God bless. All right, you heard there from Judith Kitson and Lorman Lynch as I cut off the phone. And, all right, so, wow, what happened to my camera? He's hiding. Taj, how are you? As I scream into the... Michelle, please take a seat. Oh, I was going to ask you to bring. Oh, I'm just... Oh, man, it's been a long time.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you got to climb over here. Wait a minute. Where's your socks?
No socks.
You're not in the Caribbean now, you know.
No, man. I have to drive.
Sorry, Peter.
You're going to play from through the wire.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to put it in the CD. So I'm going to ask you to just line this up. Okay, Conduit listeners, we're kind of all over the place right now. But at 8:21, as you've logged in, and Peter's going to do the honors, as you've logged in, the main guest for the evening is actually in studio, Taj Weekes. Let me welcome you. Have you been to E2 on air?
Yeah, man. Once.
I'm going to ask you to...
Bring it down?
Yes, because he has a very soft voice. How are you doing?
I'm good.
You know, I saw the number and I didn't know whose number it was.
It's good.
The first time you rang and I didn't answer. Is it in? Okay. So you know what? It's 8:22 and we get off air at 9 o'clock. So your time has already been eroded slightly and there's a lot that we have to talk about.
Let's try to cover it.
So we have to cover it. Okay. Where to begin? Taj Weekes is an international reggae star. But he's not just an international reggae star. He's a humanitarian. So where to begin? I'm not going to ask you the boring questions like how did you get into music? Because I already know that you come from a large family. You're from St. Lucia in the Caribbean. And as a child growing up, your family was a band, right?
Yeah.
The kids all came together.
We're one trap family, Caribbean one trap family.
But what I want to ask you, when you were a child growing up in St. Lucia and you were so into the music, did you ever in your wildest dreams imagine you would be in this place or where you are now? Did you ever imagine that?
No, not as a child. But, I guess somewhere in the later years you kind of figured it out.
Right. So what is it, do you think, that propelled you to stick with it? Because we know that people say, oh, there's no money in reggae music. And I'm sure you've had your times of hardship where you've performed and you haven't been paid and things have not been perfect. But what made you stick with it?
What I think is as a child, the lessons you learn, you're not really truly aware that you're learning them. So from family and friends and everybody else, you see how they stick to it. And life in the Caribbean, as we all know, is not the easiest life. So you see people not giving up, even when hardship show up.
Wow.
So it's an indirect lesson.
To stick with it.
Yeah, because that's what you saw growing up. You didn't see your people giving up. You saw them, the easiest way to learn something is not to realize you're being taught.
The easiest way to learn something is to not realize you're being taught. And, whether you're from St. Lucia or Jamaica or Trinidad and Tobago, we all have that shared experience where the elders nurture, back in the day when I was growing up, I don't know what it's like now. So you are in this place now. You have a new project that's out. It's called Love Herb and Reggae. Where'd you get that title from?
Well, I was kind of tired of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So I figured, instead of sex, drugs, and rock and roll,
Love
I
Herb.
want to be a little violent,
Love, but your music is not violent.
No. I mean, the title "Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll" seemed a little violent to me as a title. As a mantra for a generation of people. Sex.
So you flip the script now.
Yeah, love instead of sex.
Herb
instead of drugs and
reggae instead of rock and roll.
Yeah,
I love it. You've been asked that question before.
Yeah, I love it.
Because the one thing I can say about Taj Weekes, and Taj Weekes is somebody that I was first introduced to by Ian Forrest on WBAI back in 2005, I want to say. First CD was out in 2005. I want to tell you, I have those CDs here with me. that I was going to play, but because of the time element and because you have a new project, which is your fifth album, my goodness, congratulations.
Yeah, and we've already written 6, so we're back in studio in January.
So this man is a workaholic. Not only does he tour extensively, because 2015 was a grueling year for you in terms of touring.
Yeah, we did some work. We went to a couple of places we hadn't been before.
Like, tell the Conduit listeners some of the places.
You have to sit back and try to...
California.
Well, we're always in California. I think we touched the entire West Coast.
Right.
And Midwest.
And also Canada, Toronto.
Yeah, we're in Toronto. We were out in Vancouver and BC.
Right. So many places, right? And you know what?
The bad thing about being on the road, though, you sometimes call one venue the other venue or the other city the other
because
city.
it is all one place. It's all one blur, right?
It bleeds into one, so yeah, you get a little thrown
But
sometimes.
of the tours that you did in 2015, was there any experience that really stood out for you, whether it's in terms of fan response or something very good or something very bad about a touring experience?
Well, there are always stories. I'll tell you one story, and I don't know if it was 2015, but one time we're traveling through the night, so we pulled over at a rest stop, and I thought I was the only one who went out. But while I was in the restroom, one of the backup singers left and I went into the women's restroom. And I got back and I said, "Let's go." And
you left us.
He drove and left her. Yeah, so...
Who was the backup singer?
But about maybe 20 miles down the road, the state troopers came in and pulled us over and said you left somebody back.
Oh my gosh.
So we had to turn around and we had to apologize profusely that we were not trying to leave her behind. But yeah.
So is she still with the group?
Off and on.
Oh my God.
But the great thing is what we do now is every time you go into the restroom, you call
you
out
check.
your name.
Okay.
So somebody knows you.
So someone who knows. So the group Adoa, tell us, I know, but tell the Conduit listeners why that name and where does that originate from?
My great-grandfather is Ethiopian. All right, so that kind of comes out to the name. And the idea of...
The battle
it's a victorious battle, so it was a victorious band name for me. Everybody should know.
But they don't know.
Italians and the Ethiopians.
They don't know the Battle of Adoa.
We say the Italians came blessed by the Pope, and the Ethiopians beat them back with the sticks and stones and the Ark of the Covenant.
Well, but then, that's divine intervention there. You can't beat that, right? So we're here to talk about your new project. I wish we could feature some of the tracks because, I already picked out my favorite music to play.
We could talk about them still.
Well... but by the time we go through this, because we've got some questions, we already know where you got the title Love, Herb and Reggae. Now, we also know that all of the projects are penned by you.
Yeah.
Is that additional strain on you as the leader of the group to then provide all of the material? Do you ever collaborate in terms of the songs that you're going to bring, in terms of the writing, the lyrics?
No, it's not a deliberate point or stance that I take, not trying to collaborate. It's kind of just easier for me to write the songs.
Okay.
By the time people could come up with one song, I've already written 13.
So the thing about your lyrics, Taj, it's deep. Are you an English major?
I did English. I loved English. I love lit. English lit. So
because I see the poetry
I
and
read quite a bit.
Because your songs and every single one of your songs, I have to tell you, is that it's almost as though you need to have the liner notes with the lyrics written down for you to follow the song. Do people ask you the question, for this particular song, what were you thinking? Or is it something that's organic? You can just sit down and just start writing and it just flows.
Well,
What's the process for you?
It's more that way because I've always said, conscious artists can only bring out conscious art.
But you know what? Stick a pin there because you have artists who are, one would think they're conscious, but the output of the work shows you sometimes That they're not. Oh, I'm on top of the microphone.
No.
Sometimes the output shows you there's a disconnect.
Yeah, but you know, you can be conscious in an article way, but just, you know, from an intellectual standpoint, you can put it out. So it doesn't take away from you being conscious.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
because consciously does not necessarily mean that, you know, when you put pen to paper, you will bring out conscious art. I mean, I can be the holiest man, but yet
It doesn't translate to the
it
paper.
doesn't really translate.
So you're gifted.
Well, I don't know about that part.
Absolutely, because
Well, I mean, it's gift is one thing, but if you don't keep at it, you're gonna probably lose.
you
that
lose
gift.
it. You think so?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's some people who are incredibly gifted footballers, but if they don't keep at it, you know, the other people, you know, so it's something you have to fine tune.
So being a successful, and I don't know, do you consider yourself a successful artist?
In terms of having 3 children, and you know, yes, I'm successful. Life has brought me that success. I don't see success in terms of dollars or whatever else.
No, in terms of getting your work out there and getting critical acclaim.
Yeah.
Because this album, Love Herb and Reggae, I don't know if you can see it, actually made its debut in February of 2016.
Yeah.
Number 29 on the Billboard chart.
Yeah, then we climbed up to number 18, yeah. But that's,
So, I mean, a lot of our popular reggae artists can't compete with that, Taj.
yeah, but you know, it's not about a competition. You know, I think if you're given a gift, and you pursue it and do what it is that you were given that gift for, then you are successful. You know, and if you're not in it for a hustle, you know, then you're automatically successful. My aim in this is to be as true to the art form as I possibly can, and to leave something that 15 years later my grandchildren would say, well, you know, Granddad was all right. You know?
Yeah.
Not that it was popular and it, you know, it had people doing this or making babies or doing what to the music. But that it stands the test of time.
The body of work.
You know, the idea for me is at the end of the day, you may not remember the artist, but you will remember the art.
But if you remember the art, you will remember the artist. Because
likely.
the person that brings you that pleasure when you hear
you want to know about them.
a track.
Yeah.
You are an international reggae artist. But in addition to that, you are a humanitarian and one that has received some pretty hefty accolades. I mean, let me just look at my note here, and if I can find it. See, I came prepared today, Taj. All right, so you formed an organization in St. Lucia called TOCO.
Yeah, they often cry outreach.
Right. What was it that inspired you to do that? As though your reggae work wasn't enough, touring wasn't enough.
Well, you know, I grew up in a family of 10. I'm the last of 10.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and as big as my family was, my mother always prepared something extra every day. When I went to buy bread, I always had to buy extra. Because when I got home, I was told, bring 2 loaves down the road for this person. Or whenever people would come from the countryside, selling me the baskets on the head, my mother would have a plate of food prepared for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that you learn, and when you grow up, you kind of realize that you need to reciprocate. Because I am a combination of everybody I've met along the way, I've seen, who have been kind to me. That's who I am. I am not who I think I am. You know, if I can intellectualize it, then I can say, yes, I am all of this put together.
Mm-hmm.
But you learn what you live, and you live what you learn, and you grow up and you realize that I only need so much to function and nothing more.
And so,
you know, not cutting you short, the word affluent comes out of the French word affleur, to pass through.
mm-hmm.
And that's how you become affluent, by letting it pass through.
And this is what I say, a blessing is not a blessing until it's passed on.
Right. So, you know, we had always given. As soon as I could give, I gave.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2005 or 2007, after we'd released the second album, The Item, there was a song they called The Orphan's Cry.
Right.
And some lady, Dr. White, at the UN heard it and asked us if I would come in and if I would be willing to be the Goodwill Ambassador to the Caribbean, to shine our little light on our little spotlight on the Caribbean whenever we travel, wherever.
When you're a Goodwill Ambassador, is that a lifelong
Well, yeah, they never took the title back.
Wow. So you're still a United Nations Goodwill Ambassador.
I was a Goodwill Ambassador for the ICCP, which is International Consortium of Caribbean Professionals.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And a couple of years later, UNICEF called
Mm-hmm.
and said,
It's UNICEF.
you
I'm
know,
sorry.
we see what you're doing. Would you be willing to be a UNICEF ambassador / champion for children in the Caribbean? So, yeah. But, getting back to the question, that's kind of how it all started. We were giving, somebody asked us if we would be, and we just continued. We formalized it in 2007, called it TOCO, made it a 501c3, and we've been doing that ever since.
Which gives you the most pleasure?
Both of them, because it's not like I am two separate individuals.
They intertwine.
Yeah, I'm not a fragmented human being. I'm just who I am. I do all, and it's just all a mixed match.
So then you are an example for those who think that they can only be one thing and do one thing. They can actually expand their lives, expand their music, expand their craft, and help others along the way.
Yeah, but then, again, I always say, everybody can't see
I hear you.
the same way. I might think that I only need so much to function. A man might think, you need more. A man might want to show off more, and just some people don't have, and I'm not putting anybody down,
No.
the capacity to see beyond themselves, and to see, well, maybe I can build an organization and I can give back to some people. Maybe they give back in lump sum some money to certain people. That's their way. I don't know how people do it.
Wow.
But that was the best way for me to do it.
But you're certainly not just an ambassador, but definitely a mentor, and someone that children in St. Lucia, who I would imagine that you interact with, because I know about the soccer's balls and the bicycles and the gifts and the toys that you take back to children. They will look up to you and show them.
Yeah, but in all that said, I think mostly when you give, I don't think you change people as much as you change you.
Well, and this is one of the reasons I think that I get involved with different organizations, because I can't explain it. It's as though it's a mandate that even if you don't have a lot,
Right.
there's always someone who's less off than you.
Yeah.
And can you just imagine what a wonderful world that would be if everybody was under that same
And
umbrella?
it's a simple thing to do, I remember one time I was out someplace and some usually your countrymen, and this happens across the Caribbean. You go someplace and your countrymen are always complaining about home. Them people this and them people back, and I don't want to go back there. And you know what I mean? Right. So, and I remember speaking with a woman, and she was saying to me, "You know what y'all should do the next time? Is instead of giving the balls, you should give this." And I said to her, "But what are you doing?"
Nothing,
well,
right?
you have them grand ideas of what I should do. And I'm
You
already
do
doing
something.
my thing. You do something. And I tell people, if you go back home and you bring, even if it's 2 marbles, you're giving somebody 2 marbles they didn't have before. And you might be surprised the amount of joy they can get from them 2 marbles.
Absolutely.
But bring something back.
And it doesn't have to be a grand scheme, just a simple thing.
Yeah, and you don't have to compare yourself to the other guy who gives something bigger than you.
No.
Just give something.
Because it's what you give out of the abundance of your heart that you give.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, the story of, there's a biblical story of a guy who went to the synagogue, and one guy gave 2 pennies, and the guy
And the widow
you know,
gave her last
right.
mite.
She gave more than the other
Yeah,
person,
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Wow. I'm here talking with Mr. Taj Weekes, who is the founder, leader, and creative director of Taj Weekes and Adowa. He has a new project out, a new album, his 5th album, called Love Herb and Reggae. And it's a play, right?
Yeah.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I like it. I like that idea. He's also quite innovative. Anyway, it's now 8:40, and we haven't played any of his music yet. It's amazing. And he has 5. This is his 5th album. So, do I want to get into this now?
Let's get into anything.
The single, Taj. You are very, very brave. Well, actually, no. let me not say that. Let me ask you the question. The single that you've released from this album, Love, Herb and Reggae, is called I Stand Alone?
Here I stand.
Here I Stand. Tell the Conduit listeners why it's so important for you to have released that single and what that single is about.
You know, the thing is, I think people have given the single way too much credence.
You think so?
Yeah, simply, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
From my standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
if you follow the body of work from the first album to the fifth album,
Mm-hmm.
we've always stood up for causes.
Right.
So this is not the first cause we've stood up for the sake of being controversial.
But
We've taken on global warming. We've taken on the Janjaweed in Africa.
mm-hmm.
We've taken on Louisiana. You know, we've taken on things that we thought
Rain,
were big enough,
yes.
you know, to talk about.
But this one is huge because I can imagine that you're coming out of a fraternity that the world claims is homophobic. The reggae industry, Jamaican performers in particular. But, you know, they tar everybody with the same brush.
Right.
And I think you're one of the few artists, I know Diana King is maybe another one, but Diana King is a lesbian. Now, you are a straight person who has decided to dive right in.
Yeah, well, I want to just jump back on something that you said. I do not subscribe to the point of view that every Jamaican artist is homophobic.
No, but this is the world
Yeah,
view. This
but
is
I'm
how they
saying
paint
that's
us.
like- and I'm going to.
Yes.
That kind of leads into the point that I'm going to make. Everybody would love to think that,
Mm-hmm.
and even the diehard people who are homophobic would like to think that every
That,
Jamaican
right,
artist is
but that's
homophobic.
not true.
But that is not true. All right? And I've spoken to lots of artists
Who are
very
not.
famous that I will not call their names who do not subscribe to that point of view, but they cannot let everybody know because there are repercussions to putting out your point of view.
But what made you? You just don't care.
Oh, I'm too grown to worry about this. For two, I have my own record label. I own everything that I do. Nobody owns anything that I put out. So all the money that we make is our money. Okay, we have an organization that takes care of everything we do. So I am not reliant on anybody else.
And you're not bound by anybody else's
Exactly.
agenda either.
So that kind of gives me a level of freedom that some people don't have.
But you know what? I want to play the song because it makes you think. It's food for thought. And coming from a reggae artist, I'm proud of the fact, whether you did it for, I know you didn't do it for recognition. I know you didn't do it for controversy. You did it because you're speaking your truth.
It's something
And
to
you
be
felt it
spoken about.
needed to be said.
But this kind of came out. I had gone to South by Southwest.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and again, painting with the same broad brush.
Mm-hmm.
Some woman refused to interview me because she said I was homophobic.
What?
All right, but I can understand it because that's what they think every.
Just
reggae
because you were a
artist is.
reggae artist?
So on the flight back,
You need to name her and shame her.
on the flight back, I was kind of really upset by it, and I went home and I spoke to my then 8-year-old, who's 13 now,
Mm-hmm.
and I said to him, Jones, you know, some lady refused to interview me because she said I was homophobic. And he said, Dad, what are you going to do about it? So I did what I can do about it. I wrote a song.
You
about
wrote a
it.
song.
And basically, that's it.
Wow. I think we need to play the song. I'm
Which one is it? Yeah.
it's actually I can't see. Oh my goodness.
Number 5.
Yes. Is it number 5? Yeah, Here I Stand.
Yeah.
Okay, so Peter, we're going to ask you to do the, it's there? It just jumped there? So you knew that's the song I was going to play? I'm telling you, Peter G, Taj Weekes. We'll do the introductions after us. But, you know, I'm conscious of the time. It's 8:45.
15 minutes.
No, we don't have enough time. And I have to leave early because I got a big day tomorrow. But let's just jump into the song. It's Here I Stand. It's the first single released and it has a video too.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the video in a minute. Let's just play the track, Peter. Okay. We could leave the mic. We'll just mute it maybe. Yeah, you know, anybody that comes into the Conduit studio has to work, Taj. Right at the top.
Here I stand. Now love a woman, I'm a man. She loves another, yes she can. She loves a woman, not a man. Should he pretend to love a woman yet intend to find a love around the bend? Shouldn't he declare what he defends? Got a fragile picture frame sitting on a broken easel. Up comes the winds of change, down goes the easel. Here I stand. Now love a woman, I'm a man. She loves another, yes she can. She loves a woman, not a man. Should he pretend to love a woman yet intend to find a love around the bend, to share his love and to repent to?
Okay, Taj. So there's something that you want to tell us about that track that we just played, right?
Here I stand. The song basically says, here I stand. I love a woman, I'm a man. She loves another, yes she can. She loves a woman, not a man. Should he pretend to love a woman yet intend to find a love around the bend? Shouldn't he declare what he defends?
Wow, deep. What has been the reaction from your colleagues in the reggae fraternity? Or is that a question that you don't want to answer right now?
No,
it's been mixed, right?
Well, yeah. The really nasty ones
Have said you is one.
and the really good ones.
Applaud
comments
you. Yeah.
come on my inbox.
Okay. In your inbox.
The ones who really want to cuss me out and the ones who
Are-
really want to say good on my inbox.
Oh.
Because the good don't really want everybody to know,
To know that you're
what
praising.
right?
Oh,
And
gosh.
the bad, too bad.
But you know, Taj, you are sticking to the principles and the tenets of reggae, roots reggae music, which is
It's love.
commentary,
Yes. and
what's
love.
going on, and opening. But do you think you're changing minds?
Well, this is hopefully that's what happens.
The conversation is
The
happening.
conversation begins because men go crazy in congregation, but they get
Do they?
They get better individually.
Yeah, you could one away, as we
Right.
say, one away.
And I've sat in spaces with a couple men who get all riled up, and when 5 people leave, the guy say, I don't really feel that bad, because, but
Wow.
and
But
I think what we need is an honest conversation.
Well, that's what I was saying. You've opened up that portal for us to be honest, because we know, and it's not a gay agenda that anybody's pushing. It's life.
Well,
What does it say?
And
Life imitates
and
art,
yeah,
or art imitates life.
I had to kind of explain this to some people. I am not telling you that I am right and you're wrong. All I'm saying, what if you're wrong? Because it's love. You may not agree with it, but it's love. Bottom line. Now, I've also asked a question. What you do in your bedroom, how does it affect you?
This is true. This is very true.
And why is it that of all the things written in the Bible,
This is the one that you point
this
out.
is the one you want to say?
Always. They never.
And I've told most of my Caribbean friends, and some people may be hypocritical and pretend they're not part of it. Every Caribbean man I know have 2 women. Right?
No, all of them.
Almost everyone I know.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, that's adultery right there.
Right. So, and the Bible mentions adultery way more than it mentions homosexuality. So, who is without sin?
Let him cast the first stone. I like the way you address that. But there's another piece from the album that I want to play, and I don't know if Peter has it lined up for us. And then I want to ask you a question about that. So, can we play the next piece? Yeah. We're ready for it.
Here I stand. And I love a woman, I'm a man. She loves another, yes she can. She loves a woman, not a man. She loves a woman, not a man. Should he pretend to love a woman yet intend to find a love around the bend? Shouldn't he declare what he defends? Got a fragile picture frame sitting on a broken easel. Up comes the winds of change, down goes the easel. Here I stand, and I love a woman, I'm a man.
All right, Taj. Now, of course, for those Conduit listeners who are logged on and listening, you're saying, but wait a minute, Sheron P's lost her mind because that's the same song that we just heard. So why do you have two versions?
I didn't want somebody else to make a reggae version of my song before.
So which came first? The rock version?
Yeah, well, it's easy, while you're playing, you just switch the beat.
Wow. So you really didn't want anyone to make a reggae version
I
of
wanted
it?
to be the first one to make a reggae version of my own.
But, some people would say that's so arrogant.
No, but
Taj.
it's my song, right? I just choose to make two versions.
So you're first them?
Yes.
Well, hey. So the rock version now, is this the one that you envisage as the crossover?
Well,